I see one person here. Hi. I'm Alexa. I am a clinical therapist with the Counseling Hub. Um, and this is Coffee with a Counselor. I will be talking today about Grimoire Girl by Hilarie Burton Morgan and kind of whatever comes up. I'm new to this streaming stuff, so I will try to keep an eye on like if there are any comments or questions, but feel free to ask if you have them. But yeah, so I'll just chat a little bit about the book I'm recommending, and if there are any other questions or anything, we can also just have a conversation too. So I'm excited to talk about this book so much. So Grimoire Girl by Hilarie Burton Morgan. It's her second book. Hilarie Burton was Peyton Sawyer on One Tree Hill, and I was definitely a One Tree Hill girly. And so I jumped at the chance to read her book, and it's actually her second memoir. But this book, it was the first book that I read this year, and it was great. I actually gave it 5 stars, and I'm pretty stingy when it comes to giving books 5 stars. I definitely I don't know if I have high standards or what it is, but I actually listened to the book on Audible, and what for me when it comes to audiobooks, narration, like the narrator can't talk, makes or breaks the book for me. And that's how I get into it when it comes to audiobooks. And one of the things I like is when memoirists read their own stories. And she did that. And so to hear it from her voice was like super powerful. And so with this book, it's called Grimoire Girl, Creating an Inheritance of Magic and Mischief. And one of the things that resonated with me is I love witchy things. And so I loved the idea of grimoires and like structuring her book in that way. I thought was really awesome. And the way that she pieces together the stories in her life of loss and creating community just really resonated with me. And I think that, knowing her and being a fan of One Tree Hill and a fan of her as an actress helps. I also think there are some really good just universal things about grief and loss and creating meaning in your life that's why I recommend anybody to read this book, even if you don't really know her as an actress or are a fan of her. So one of the things I wanted to talk about like with the book is like how she structures it. So she actually kind of structures it like a grimoire, which I think is like really cool. I am a person that loves a theme. She has like in between her chapters, what she calls simple spells. And in that, it's like there are poems that are like either applicable to the chapter, what she was writing about, the situation. There's a section here like on creating altars, just different things. She talks about like the magic of cooking. And so she like has a recipe in here that like goes along with that. And I love the idea of that not only did she was like, I'm going to title it this, and that she loves the idea of grimoires, but then she literally set the book up to be like a grimoire for the reader. And so I thought that was really awesome. One of the things she starts off with is saying she's been fascinated with the idea of a grimoire since she was little. And like as a kid, for her, grimoires were fearsome things that excited my curiosity, which has kept them accumulating magic so rare and dangerous that secrecy became paramount. And then she goes in and talks about like in her home, like magic being banned. And that resonated with me because I also love magic and witchy things. one of the things that like helps me as a person, and that I would tell my clients too, when they're really in their low moments or struggling, is having things to look forward to, creating magic in your life, having that hope. It's so impactful. And so I think that's why I love a good theme, especially in books. I know it can feel a little gimmicky. But I mean, this is just really her creating magic in her life. And I love that. Fall in love with your life, create magic, romanticize things that you can. I mean, within reason. Don't go overboard with it. But I definitely love that. And she has just such powerful stories. Some of the loss that she's experienced, like within her life, how she's created meaning, how she ties that to her children, and what she wants to leave behind for them. Just the intentionality of it is really beautiful. I just have a lot of really positive things to say about this book. And like her last paragraph, I definitely like wanted to read because I think that it just like wraps up obviously and gets to the heart of what she's getting at. And there's a ripple effect to true magic. Drop a pebble in the water and you will see the rings of impact expand and multiply. That is what we are doing here. Each spell, each intention, each action is the dropped pebble. We can't control who or what our inheritance are. No, we can't control who or what our ripple effects will touch, but we know that the circles of love and inheritance are one and the same. And so, if we are lucky, we absorb the impact left by others, collect it in our own personal grimoires with enthusiasm and good intentions, and then drop it when our time is over, sending brand new rings of magic out into the world. I love that. I love the idea of that. And I will be so honest, part of like what helps me give will push me to give books high ratings when I rate them after I read them, is if I have an emotional response. And I know I said earlier when I started that I originally listened to this book. And for the new people who are just joining, I'm talking about Grimoire Girl by Hilarie Burton Morgan. Really awesome book. So the last chapter, when she was listening to it and just like hearing her voice again as she's feeling the emotion, telling the last story in the book and going through all of this, it made me cry. And I am an emotional person. I will not deny that whatsoever. But it just hit me. And she's talked about loss throughout, throughout the book, but also community, creating lasting friendships. One of the chapters is titled like Find Your Coven, which is like all about community. But that last chapter, she talks about losing a friend to cancer. And I mean, it just hit me to the point that I was like, I have to give this book 5 stars because of how it's so beautiful. And that last passage that I read really kind of summed that up just amazingly. I love that. I did do a little bit of research on grimoires because I am kind of that nerdy person that likes to do research on some of these things. And I thought it might be interesting to like bring that in and have a little history of that. And she touches on that kind of in the first part of her book in the preface, like talking about like the idea of grimoires and like collecting magic, and like then for like how she applies that to her and like how witchy things were banned in her household growing up. But so what a grimoire is a book of spells, magic, and occult knowledge that contains instructions for performing spells, rituals, and invocations. Grimoires also include information on how to make magical objects such as amulets and talismans, and may include lists of ingredients and their magical correspondences, which I think kind of ties back to in between her chapters, how she has like different things like poems. She explains different like different energy, spiritual guidances that kind of have had an impact on her life. I think I mentioned recipes. So, she very much kind of did a good job of this is a grimoire. Grimoires have been around since ancient times, but became more widely available after the invention of printing. They were often published in non-Catholic states because they were considered heretical by the Catholic Church. So they are considered sacred texts by witches and are essential parts of their practice. Some believe that the books themselves are imbued with magical powers, which for me, I think back to when I read that part of it, I was like, oh, that reminds me of book from Hocus Pocus, because I also really love the movie Hocus Pocus, and that book was literally alive. So and that was a grimoire. So, and this also says there are no set rules for the format of your grimoire, but it should be a focused and inspiring place to retreat to when pursuing your spiritual path. And so I think that obviously tying that back to what Hilarie Burton Morgan has done here is just that. This is a part of her spiritual path, her life. She talks about what she's creating for her children with intentionality, and what she wants to leave behind for them, what she's gained from the experiences and the people in her life. It's good. I think you can tell that I obviously really liked it. And I definitely think if you are a person who has experienced loss, who, you're learning how to navigate that, I think this is a good read for that, because she does have hit hard in some moments. She does have those really somber moments when she's talking about loss. But it's not a constant throughout the book. There are fun moments, and she talks about, creating community with her friends, and, time with her children and with her husband, meeting her husband, her first house when she was, shooting for One Tree Hill. So there are moments of levity and moments of, that balance it out so that it's not super heavy all the time. So yeah, that is, my recommendation for this month. So how Coffee with a Counselor goes with me, Alexa, is I will be recommending books, talking about some of the themes that are within the book, what resonates with me, what I think, why I would, why I'm recommending the book, obviously. But I'll be doing this once a month for the next few months, and I'm really excited to share some of the books that I've read. Just a little bit about me. I started off the live stream saying, I'm a clinical therapist at the Hub here. And one of my hobbies and things that I spend a lot of time and probably money on is reading. And so I love to talk about books. I love to recommend books. Obviously, I'm here recommending this book. And I'm so excited to share this with the people who join Coffee with a Counselor when we do it. And yeah, I love all kinds of, different genres of books and stuff like that. So this month was a memoir. I will probably shake it up with various fiction and fantasy type books and memoirs, self-help books in there too. So yeah, go out and get Grimoire Girl if you have any interest in magic or resonating talking about loss, like books that like kind of help you navigate that. It's a really good book. So yeah, go and get it. I think we just have one person here. But if there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll sit on for probably just a few more minutes. But yeah, if I don't see anything, I'll hop off here. Yeah, so alrighty. Well, we will end here. Bye. Oh. Oh, I just saw a question. Do you have a favorite ritual from the book? I know I like said I was going to end it, and I didn't. I'm new to streaming. It's my very first time, guys. Do I have a favorite ritual? Yes, I do. I do. So I guess it's not necessarily like a ritual per se, but I believe it is. Let me find it. This was part of the ones I think that hit me. She talks about celestial bodies. She talks about, and this might sound kind of morbid. She talks about writing your own eulogy, which I love the idea of that. When especially I think of like writing your own eulogy, when I'm thinking of people who are struggling with the concept and the idea of death and dying, because that is really scary. And I think within the mental exercise of like writing your own eulogy is so impactful in so many ways. One, you get to write your life, kind of your life story in a summary way within that. And it gives you an idea of like, what do you really truly want people to take away from your life, the things that you've done. And it gives you the chance to see like, okay, if I want people to take this away from the things that I've done, then what am I doing that right now? Right. So it's a good check-in with yourself. Even though it might seem weird, it might seem morbid to write your own eulogy, but yeah, you get to check in to see like, am I on the right track with that? And also really confronting that fear of death, because it is scary and nobody really has an answer for that. So I think that's a good exercise. Any other questions? I won't pre-end. I will be here to make sure that there are no more questions. Try not to be too quiet so there isn't a lot of dead air. Okay. No more questions then. I will for sure end there, but I'm excited to share next month's pick and talk to you guys more. So you have a fantastic Thursday, a good weekend. Also, to kind of go along with like the magic theme, the movie Wicked is coming out. So go see that because Wicked is an awesome play. So I would recommend the play. Haven't seen the movie, so I don't know that I can recommend the movie yet. But so you guys have a great Thursday.